Hi, I'm Dr. Roseann, and this is It's Gonna Be Okay. And this is my series on pans and pandas. And if you're new to following me and you're listening, please make sure to check out our Facebook group, Natural Parenting Solutions, www.drroseann.com/group. It's free. And we're talking about a lot of things, not just pans and pandas, but it's all about natural solutions to help you move the dial in your child's mental health and behavior. But today, we're talking about why pans and pandas is treatment resistant, because it is, and it is for a lot of people. And when you get help early, that doesn't have to be your story. But most of the time, as you heard me say before, people are coming to me, they're flying out at least once a week. Somebody from pans that has a child with pans and pandas flies out to see me. And most of them are seeing a dozen or more providers in some way, shape, or form before they get to me. And most of them were misdiagnosed. So let's talk about why it's treatment resistant, what we can do about it. So number one reason why it's treatment resistant is it's misdiagnosed. So you're getting delayed onset of actual treatment. And when that happens, a lot of things come to the party. That means layered infections, layered toxins, a lot of stuff, right? So if it's not that I'm saying one tick-borne illness is easy to deal with, but you got 9, like my max, it's a lot harder. And then you got more mental health related stuff like Bartonella. I forgot to say he's got all those Bartonella rashes. I have people all the time. I had somebody flew out last week and I said, "You got stretch marks?" And they said, "Yeah, but his doctor, Lyme doctor, doesn't think it is." And I said, he's a young man. I said, "Do you feel comfortable showing me your back, or do you have a picture?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll show you." And I was like, "Oh, 100%. It's Bartonella. Let me show you online." And then I sent him to a new provider and they were like, "I can't believe like that was easy to see. But this is what happens when you're misdiagnosed. He wasn't getting better with his OCD because we weren't treating the infection, right? So when you have the wrong treatment, when you have the wrong diagnosis, you have the wrong treatment. And we're going to talk about our 5-part process to healing pans and pandas in the next episode. But we're talking about what are those things that hold back really getting better. And if you're not clear about what's there, all these infections come in, it breaks down. If you happen to have had a head injury of any sort, the blood-brain barrier opens up and even more infections can get into the brain. It's very complex. You're at a much higher rate of having difficulties. If head injuries are there, I have so many cases where they had a tick-borne illness, they had an infection like Epstein-Barr, and then got better, were totally normal for a long, long time, then had a head injury, and bam, walola, they get pans and pandas. That's just anecdotal, but I see it a lot. And given that I have I don't know how many thousands of brain maps I've done with just infectious disease components to it, it has to be at least 5,000. I mean, that would be like a lowball estimate. It's my conservative estimate. But we have to have the right identification of the infections and toxins for the treatment to be correct. And that can be a major, major barrier. Now, I think one of the things that people do is they over-focus on the treatments. And when I say wrong treatments, it's also over-focusing on the medical treatments. We need to make sure we're understanding what we're treating, but that sometimes it's just not the miracle most of the time for behaviors. And I say this all the time. Every time I work with somebody with OCD, 100% of the time they ask me the question, do I need the psychotherapy, ERP, for the OCD? Because if we do neurofeedback and we do these other things, it's going to resolve. The answer is no, people. That's a behavioral issue in the brain, and the brain forms a habit. You have to actually address that. So we have to make sure we're treating it from a holistic point of view. We're not just doing medical treatments. So one of my biggest barriers, and I'm going to talk about 2 barriers for, actual getting better is genetic mutations and detoxification, right? So genetic mutations like MTHFR, COMAT, different things really can interfere with how the body is processing toxins and eliminating. And also just how the body can handle these infections and how it activates the genetic snippets, right? So there's one part where we turn on a genetic potential that we don't want to turn on. And the other part of it, things like MTHFR, interfere with detoxification. And in the world of infections, both viral and bacterial, it's the toxins, the infections are equally disruptive in the brain and body. So you can kill the infection component, but if it's not being eliminated, it's not detoxifying, it's the waste products are going to filter back, and it's going to be as detrimental to the brain and body. This is a huge, huge thing. There are a lot of reasons why people don't get better, but detoxification, particularly when people are getting phenomenal treatment, like medical treatment, like top people, detoxification isn't one that I see a lot of providers doing well, particularly when they go to traditional medical providers, which you might need to. And I don't want to say traditional medical treatments are not important. You know, plasmapheresis, IVIG, antibiotics, man, they can be game changers. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we have to look at detoxification as well, because if you're just killing without eliminating, and almost all of our peeps, me included, Max included, have MTHFR, we've got to improve the detoxification. So huge barrier to healing. So here's where I come in. Okay. So obviously, the world of psychoimmunology, right? So you hear me talk about, you see my logo, calm brain, happy family. If you don't calm this nervous system down, psychoimmunology tells us the body can't heal. Okay. This is so important for so many clinical conditions, but in PANS and PANDAS, Lyme disease, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever you identify yourself, whatever age you are, if you're not calming that nervous system down, your body is going to prevent you from healing. In order to hack into your body's own healing potential, you've got to regulate the nervous system. And this is why people come to our brain behavior reset program, because they realize something is missing. And the missing ingredient is actually calming that nervous system down. And what happens in a body when it's hyper stress activated, when the autonomic nervous system goes into a sympathetic dominant state, when it should be in that relaxed parasympathetic hot tub state, is it goes into it. The most highest level of activation is fight, flight, or freeze. And, you know, as soon as you hear that, you already know your PANS kid. Holy crap. I knew when Max was in fight, flight, or freeze. You know, there's no talking to him. There's no rationalization. That's where we say things like, you know, demonic possession. Should I take him to the hospital? I have a lot of strong feelings about psychiatric. If somebody is truly unsafe, you probably don't have another choice. But it does jack shit for people. And in fact, it often can worsen things. I've seen kids taken away. They get put on psych meds. Psych meds don't help our kids. So psych meds are for people with a chemical imbalance, not a medical problem, people. Can we say that again? So yeah, this is impacting your neurotransmitters, but so is stress. So stress is going to derail everything. Once those infections are in, then when your system is in that fight, flight, or freeze, your immune system is not working properly. Your hormones are not working properly. Your neurotransmitter, your cells, everything diverts to try to go to the stressor. So the antidote to that is to regulate it. I do that in our brain behavior reset program with neurofeedback. And please know that I am the only person who's ever been allowed to do a training for the International Board of Providers, where that's the only place that certifies you, neurofeedback providers. I am the trainer of everybody else who's doing neurofeedback. So if you want to go to the person who has worked with the most people, that is me. And that is why people fly in from all over, and we do work with people remotely. We send you equipment, and you do have to apply to be in our program. We don't take everybody. You got to have a great attitude. We don't care what your problem is. It's got to be super nice. And you can go to drroseann.com/help, and it's going to put you in a solution matcher. It's going to match up what the best solution is for you because we do different things. But you've got to get that nervous system regulated. So our neurofeedback, the way that it works, just to understand it, and PEMF, those are the two main ways that we regulate the nervous system. And many of my PANS people do both. So neurofeedback, you're hooked up to a computer. It's reinforcing the brain to get in a regulated state. Once it's regulated, in the case of PANS and PANDAS, it's going to take you out of fight, flight, or freeze. The resources of your body are going to go back to what it's supposed to do. So your immune system's going to start coming back online. Your hormones are going to start coming back online. And as everything comes back online, you're not as activated. So you keep moving forward down. Now, in the case of somebody with secondary issues like anxiety or OCD or depression, we then start actually doing, treatment. And it's going to involve family, right? When people work with me, it's an ecosystem approach. Okay. You don't get to just send me your kid. Like, this is a shit show nightmare for the whole family. We got to treat it like that. I mean, clearly, if you heard my episode of my own story, there's trauma involved in it, like so much trauma that I've had to do a lot of work on it. I'm a human being. Like, you have to get your stuff together. And when the kids get better and you actually breathe, you cry. It's hard. It's like so hard, because if this was cancer, you'd have you'd have food for a year. And because it's mental health and people don't know what it is, they leave you, So it's not okay, but it's part of what it is. And again, you can find your tribe. PEMF, we have a device called Calm PEMF. I specifically created protocols that is for infections and toxins. It addresses regulating the nervous system, immune system components, sensory components, calming the body. It's designed to support the body's, the cells' ability to manage infections, improve detoxification, improve sleep. And what's amazing about our Calm PMF is the device itself. What it does is it's sending that signal, it's changing the way the cells communicate and function, helps it to improve it and make it healthy. 2, it puts you in a parasympathetic state. 3, it improves detoxification. And it's a click of the button. It's as small as a iPhone, even smaller than the new ones. And it has a 1 hour, 2 hour, and 8 hour cycle. And there are these different protocols that you can just click. So many of my PANDAS teenagers can be very resistant, and they just put it on when they're sleeping, and it helps the body. We need everything we can to support detoxification. Talking about our Calm PEMF device, and I want to just actually show it to you. You click a button, and of course it says it's going to be okay. And this device is for infections and toxins, and you're able to just select, here's one for immune system, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. It helps with your cognitive functioning, it addresses brain fog, it helps to calm the brain when you're anxious. So it's designed to, by me, personally design the protocols to address the most common issues and support that nervous system. Calming the nervous system down is one of the biggest barriers. And it's really why people come to me. And it can't be ignored. It can't. And I know that we so focus on medical, and that's important too. We're going to talk next about, what is my 5-pronged approach, but we've got to regulate that nervous system. It's so important. So I hope this was a helpful conversation. If you really feel stuck, really turn your attention to these things, particularly calming the nervous system and detoxification. They are 2 of the biggest barriers I see, even when you're going to the top medical experts in the field. And I found these 2 things to be a game changer in helping your child with PANS and PANDAS.